After you. It's hotter than I thought it was going to be. So Felix and I are on our way to, this is Felix, by the way.
Hey, what's up?
So we're on our way to the to COC, and we are going to be going to a panel discussion of a bunch of people who are making things happen in the manufacturing industry realm. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to meet a bunch of people there who we know, and that's going to be a blast. So. I initially thought this was going to be a tour of the makerspace. COC just opened a makerspace, but it's not. Aerospace manufacturing industry is very big in Santa Clarita. That's one of the things that are driving the technological economic impact currently. So I think they're going to be talking about that. That's going to be kind of where the conversation is going to be going, and maybe the potential prospects of and the impact of 3D printing. Yeah, I see Brian over there. Look at Brian. There he is, standing over there texting. How's it going? It's Ryan. Have you run into anyone?
That I know?
Yeah.
I ran into an employer from Advanced Bionics.
Oh, no way. Oh, Advanced Bionics is going to be here.
Hi.
Say hello.
Are you filming?
It's Ty. Yeah, we're just doing a quick little selfie video.
How are you?
Yeah, hey, we're just hanging out. Yeah, my mom is the only person who watches these probably. So my sister, she's a big proponent of me doing these.
I remember you as a judge.
Oh yeah, Ryan is helping us organize Startup Weekend. Yeah. So, okay, a cool thing that we're doing for the Startup Weekend is we're kind of, this is Ryan's idea. He's a marketing genius. Why are you laughing?
Down in Burbank, they had.
So, we're taking this crazy approach of
they were getting
inventing
gouging
crazy
on
startup
corners,
ideas
so
and
that they
posting
needed
them
to put in
around campus
deceleration
saying, hey,
and acceleration
my name is
points,
Anthony,
right?
right? Was that the person we decided?
Yeah, this is
This is the flyer. So this is the flyer we made up, right? just yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you still have to. The pace.
So it's basically a guy who has this crazy idea. It's a fake
Nice.
person, and we're soliciting advice from people.
That is cool.
Who we encourage to text us saying, "Hey, is this idea cool or is this idea bad?" So we got a couple of replies, surprisingly enough. Isn't that crazy? What did people say?
I got 9 texts so far.
Yeah. What did they say? Did people love the idea?
Let's see. Some of them are really intrigued. They want to be like, so how does this whole thing work? Where can I sign up?
I love it. Yeah.
Another one is, one was like actually studying karate for like 12 years, been doing it for 12 years. And he's like, well, what are you going to do with replacing the drums? Because Karate Master is going to break them. Yeah, I mean, it was just to break the ice.
What the heck is drum karate? You know, like,
This was just to break the ice that any idea is worth
that where
pitching.
yeah.
And so,
So did they do
this is
that
like
because
the
that's where the raw
Very
material
the
is?
first phase.
I like the gorilla marketing
The
approach.
second phase is going to be this one.
Don't you love it?
Pose too.
I know. It's the stock, cheesy stock photography done terribly on purpose.
So I think in a week I'm gonna put, hey guys, Anthony again.
Yeah.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Okay, here we go.
It's good to see everybody out tonight, Thursday night. I'm Mike Bastine. I'm the director for the Center for Applied Competitive Technologies, Basically, short term, it's a training center that's co-located with ADI in the Valencia industrial area. And just happened to be hosted by College of the Canyons. So I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. And even though we're celebrating Manufacturing Day, however, Manufacturing Day is tomorrow, the first Friday of every October. So I guess we would call this Manufacturing Eve, but it's a good way to kick off the events. Tomorrow, on the official day, we're going to have over 300 junior high and high school students traveling in 13 buses across the valley to various industries, including the industries that are going to be represented here tonight. So that's going to be a wild and exciting event tomorrow, and they're going to learn about the various manufacturing opportunities that exist in the valley and the various careers that are in their backyard and the various pathways they can take for a rewarding manufacturing career. Now, this is a good time for me to acknowledge, make a very important message. There was a lot of time and effort by a lot of people to bring this event on tonight and the event that's going to be taking place virtually all day tomorrow. And the committee was small and mighty, but I want to make sure to mention that they came from the College of the Canyons. They came from the Hart Union High School District. Some of the committee members were from the Santa Clarita Valley Economic Development Corporation, the City of Santa Clarita, and the California Manufacturing Technology Consulting Firm. Together, we created a pretty powerful body that provides stellar support to bring this on. And I'm gratefully want to acknowledge their expertise and participation in the success of this program. So let's get on to the action. Let's get on to the wild side. We have invited Jeremy Bout in from Edge Factor. He's the executive producer and hosts the Edge Factor on TV. I look at him as the rock star for manufacturing, kind of the evangelist for manufacturing, of telling people, making them aware of what's out there, what's possible. And he's eager, I know, to convey all of his observations and all of his energy and excitement about manufacturing. So let's give a big round of applause for Jeremy Bout.
I'm attempting to, I know why, we got so many clickers going on. I got the wrong one. I'm gonna play video for you guys while I find the clicker.
Well, the fact that a driver could survive a crash at over 200 miles an hour is not an accident. It's an act of excellent engineering. And it's a testament to a team of manufacturers behind some of the hottest acts in IndyCar racing.
My official title is Production Planner and Manufacturing Engineer. So we have to react quickly. We have to find solutions to problems that teams are coming up with or bringing to IndyCar. They have issues. We are obviously the first one to hear about it because we are the sole supplier for the IndyCar. It definitely makes it a little bit of a challenge, but that's what our job is. So we have to live up to that.
I love the fact that I weld so much. That's probably what I've been doing the longest. It gives me a lot of satisfaction in being able to show what I can do. I worked on race teams, IndyCar teams for 26, 28 years. So I worked with a lot of really talented, big name drivers. The first driver I worked for was Mario Andretti. Really, in the end, doing something you like to do, you can't put a price on that.
Since opening their doors in 1972, the Dallara team has created some of the most advanced race cars from around the world. And not just in Indy racing, but Formula One, Grand Prix, Formula 3, and many more. The highly skilled team creates and uses the most advanced simulation tools to test out new designs and materials. And while Delar already may have hundreds of wins with their team, it's the quest for excellence that continues to define them. Imagine that this was the type of road you had to take to get to wherever you are right now. What if you couldn't buy a 4x4 to navigate this? Then you had to stop for food or water, and anything that you picked up had to be carried by you. But what if using your mind, a pair of pliers and a welder, you could change someone's world? When John Lumpkins was asked to help create a vehicle to ease the transportation challenges in rural Cameroon, he saw an opportunity to get his engineering students involved. Their task was to build a vehicle made from materials found locally in the African countryside. The result of the students' work was the PUP, a practical utility platform featuring engines mounted on a frame built from angle iron. While it all seemed plausible in the US, it was not until the team got to Cameroon that they realized the supplies they thought would be readily available were nowhere to be found, forcing them to modify the plan mid-trip.
All of a sudden, people stepped up, people found their niche, and this person contributed this. And I will say that the attitude was there was like, we are going to get this done. They asked the shop to stay open later. We work Saturdays there. It's like, we want to get this thing done, we want to overcome these challenges. And they're going to remember that lesson the rest of their life. The last day before we left, we actually got to drive the vehicle out of the shop. It was a huge milestone. I was proud of the students, and I think they were all at that point cheering and clapping as well, so they knew what milestone they had accomplished.
John Lumpkins and his team not only overcame the challenges of doing an in-field redesign, but they had most importantly proven the fact that there was merit to the concept. While the PUP was not yet completed, this model would give the team the knowledge and experience they would need to continue on their mission.
I really think this vehicle has the potential to impact the lives of many people.
Right now we're based out of Cameroon, but we've seen a lot of growth into other areas as well within sub-Saharan Africa and even other places like Haiti. One of the greatest things I think that I get from this group, to be able to put a smile on someone's face because you're sharing your engineering knowledge with them. Someone that's 6,000 miles away in a community that you don't live in.
For me, this project was a huge influence on where I want to go. I am so excited about what I'm doing now, what I can be doing in the future with what experience this project has given me.
The PUP is currently being used for transportation, but that's just the beginning. The students have gone on to design attachments to grind corn, till the field, pump the water, and generate power. If you ask them how they feel about their past achievements, they'll tell you they've only just gotten started on their problem-solving journey into engineering.
Music is art. Under its influence, we dream, we laugh, we cry. We're moved to action, no matter your time in history or what culture you're from. As humans, music is part of us.
Kid, I was probably 7 or 8 years old. My dad's a carpenter. One day he brought home a scrap of wood that was big enough for me to cut a guitar shape out of. I didn't know anything about the structure inside the guitar, how it was really supposed to work. I had no idea how hard it would be. Eventually got something together that looked kind of like a guitar, and I started to put strings on it, tuned it up, the pitch, and the whole thing exploded into splinters. Once I got over the disappointment of it blowing up, I thought that was actually kind of awesome. I gotta try this again. That was rad. And from then I was hooked.
We could not make the 165,000 guitars we're going to make this year without that modern technology, without Mastercam, without CNC mills. We just simply couldn't do it.
With each model being hand-built and designed by Bob Taylor or Andy Powers,
The team then uses advanced manufacturing technologies to ensure the vision and quality is repeated in every guitar that goes out of the Taylor factory. The brand is not only loved and played by some of the biggest acts in pop culture, but is a source of inspiration in the hands of a new generation.
What could be more transcendent than a musical instrument, right? It is true, it's just a thing, but something that expresses from the soul of humanity. A lot of us in this business would agree that it's a privilege to be allowed to do what we do for a living. Why do I still, after 50 years of playing the drums, why do I practice so hard? Why do I worry about every show and every performance so much? Because I figure it's a privilege been given to me, and it gives a responsibility so that I know by the time we hit that stage, I can perform to the best of my 62.5 years ability.
Well, that, of course, was Neil Peart, arguably one of the best drummers in history. When it comes to his drum kit, Neil's always looking to raise the bar. Well, in one of our latest films, we reenacted this dramatic scene of an oak tree falling into a river. And while some might see that tree as an obstacle, others see it as an opportunity.
There's a river in Romania, and they were dredging the earlier part of the river, and boom, they hit something, and they hit a treasure. Some oak trees had fallen a long time ago, and they were embedded in the silt in the riverbanks. They were in a static state for a long time. Well, once they pulled some of these logs out, they did a carbon test. These are 1,500 years old, and they are gorgeous. They are just spooky, dark with silt, and they get on the phone and call me. And I built this kit. Every single ply is bog oak. Neil Peart was coming into town, and he sat down and played it. I finally went home after 3 hours, and he wrote me that night this just eloquent letter about how this drum set moved him. As a musician, as a drummer, as a person who appreciates resonance. It's a gorgeous, beautiful drum set. It's got history, it's got a purpose, it's very special, and Neil is playing that for the upcoming Rush tour. And he's very excited about this kit.
Over the years, the DW Drums team have had some of the biggest rock acts playing their drums. John and his team are constantly looking for new ways to use advanced technology in manufacturing their products, which allows them to push the limits on creativity. You can be sure that any tree that could be made into a drum, John has probably already tried it, or he's thinking about it. Well, manufacturing not only allows us to build what we see artistically like a guitar, but it allows us to create solutions to problems. We all have problems at various times, but for the team in the next story, the challenge they faced would unfold on an international stage, with the whole world as the audience.
The ordeal for 33 miners trapped deep underground is far from over. Heavy machinery has been brought in to drill a tunnel to the men.
It's something that's never been done, but we felt that with our past experience, depths, diameters, and rock hardness, that we truly had a shot at it.
Those miners have no idea how long they're going to be underground. And how in the world would you ever live with yourself failing on a project like that? It was about 33 lives, and that we couldn't get off our mind. I don't know if I'd ever forgive myself.
Confident in their abilities, the CRI team shifted the focus of their manufacturing shop, building the tooling they would need, and shipped it all down to the rescue site in the mountains of Chile.
We were already at the depth of 262 meters. Everything was just flying and wonderful. Then our worst nightmare happened, and everything just ground to a screeching halt. The pilot nose, the guide device that we had on the front of our bit, completely severed off and ceased all the drilling.
If we can't remove that, our plan is done. We can't drill around it and get back into the pilot hole, we're done, and we failed. said, Rudy, I don't know what you can do, but we can't keep doing this. We have all these part failures. We've got to make it better, and we got to do it very quickly. I don't know if it was an hour later. Rudy had sent these pictures to Brandon Fisher and I, and we're looking at it thinking, this is a great idea.
With the machining and engineering teams working through the night to build the needed changes in the design, they built multiple iterations, painstakingly assembled the drills, packaged them up, and flew them back to Chile when the drill finally broke through to the trapped miners.
33 lives are alive, not just because of me, because of a team that had an idea. I'll be proud of that to the day I die.
After a tragic accident during a snowcross event, Mike Schultz lost his leg. Refusing to give up on the sport and driven by the passion to compete again in the X Games, Mike started to pen down a possible solution.
Got it all figured out that way and went to the machine shop and started cutting it out on a mill and a lathe, and a week later I had the first working prototype. Brought it home and took about 10 steps over the dirt bike, fired it up, and just pinned it down the ditch through the mogul section. And within about a minute, I knew I was onto something. And my smile was from ear to ear. I was like, holy cow, this is gonna work.
Within 7 months of losing his leg, Mike not only competed in the Summer X Games, but won a silver medal. He has gone on to win many X Games and will be competing in the upcoming Olympics. Mike's inventions are the result of the fact that he has surrounded himself with talented partners who bring their expertise to his world.
I was really into drawing. It was always shapes and mechanical stuff, cars, stuff like that. The evolution of the software has just been absolutely amazing, and the speed to market is the biggest thing that we've seen these last couple of years. You can go from a napkin sketch to a 3D model in the same day, make the changes, 3D print the part, and send it to the customer. It's just stuff that used to take months is now happening in weeks. It's just an exciting time to be in this industry.
To me, building something, whatever it might be, is a fundamentally important part of our existence.
The rate of change in manufacturing, I think it's changing now more than ever. Aircraft, automotive, mold making, woodworking, and of course, the music industry.
Manufacturing for me takes me from the forest to the concert stage and everywhere in between.
The more you dive into it and just try something new, it's amazing how quickly you pick it up, and it's amazing how quickly you're able to make something magical.
If you're thinking about something that you might want to do with your life that has meaning, I'd like to encourage anybody to consider manufacturing and being involved in manufacturing. Why? It's what produces the real things in our life.
Making something from nothing and being able to satisfy a need in whatever your industry is, the fulfillment you get from that is second to none.
It's what supports an economy when you find a product that you love and you can help make that in one form or another, whether it's the engineering or whether it's the assembly. It's all meaningful work.
Look around. Everything is manufactured. The opportunities are just unlimited.
And that's what this is really about, is manufacturing supporting economies. It's manufacturing supporting, our country.
There is this
younger generation that really fills me with enthusiasm about American manufacturing. All they see is the technology is really cool and the technology is really powerful. And I have nothing but high confidence in the long, sustained future of manufacturing as something that we do in this country. Manufacturing? I thought that all went overseas. I mean, come on, son. I mean, you know, Uncle Bob had that job that he lost. I mean, it disappeared anyway. I don't know where it went, but I think it went overseas. Our kids in our school are going to graduate and go on to get a 4-year degree, because that's what successful people do. You want a job? You got to be super educated to get a good job. That may have been true, but I think perhaps what we have to look at is, what is education? We need to talk about what is manufacturing. I mean, these stories that you saw here today, I gotta tell you, this is not uncommon. It doesn't take long when you go behind closed doors in so many communities and you start to see that there's unbelievably brilliant things happening all over the place. And I don't know about you guys, this is a picture on my property, but I like to build forts. I didn't grow out of this, actually. This is some of my daughters, and I have 5 kids. Some of my daughters and their cousins, and you know, these were old fence panels that my brother had, and I didn't want to see them get thrown out. Literally, he was putting them in the dumpster, and I like to solve problems, and I said, oh, let me help you with that problem. I'll take them off your hands, and I'll repurpose them. So we made this fort for my kids, and that's kind of indicative of the type of person I am. I really love to solve problems with people, and it's funny. Today, it's kind of epic. Today's my 40th birthday.
All right.
And so, yeah, thank you. So today's my 40th birthday, and they say, you know, you start to run into some problems when you get older, right? And some of you are older here, so maybe you can recognize this. So I was thinking a little bit about this one here. If I could progress my slide here. This, they say, is going to become a problem, and of course, I like to snack at midnight, right? So maybe I need this. I saw this picture online. I thought this is a good one. Fridge lock mode. My wife, I think, will be a big fan of this. I won't be able to get in, but these kind of problems, right? I like to solve problems, and this was an interesting problem for me. Somebody handed me a print. It was an uncle. He sent this over to me, and he said, I think I was about 17, and I was playing this labyrinth game. I don't know, anybody remember that? I'm dating myself. I'm 40 after all, right? This little marble runs around. You move 2 knobs on it, and it falls. Like you try to dodge these things, and it falls in holes, right? And so he said, "Do you want a summer job?" And I was 17. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't know what to go study. In fact, I was the youngest brother at this point. Everybody else had gone up for post-secondary. They'd done really, really well, but I didn't know what to do. And he showed me this, and he said, you know, I've got this new machine coming in from overseas. It's robotic. It's going to be a great summer job. The thing's going to run itself. I need a PhD. At first, I liked the sound of that until I realized what he meant. He wanted a push-here dummy. 5-axis machines run themselves, was the salesperson told him. Anybody here know what a 5-axis machine is? We see some hands going up. Guess what? 5-axis machines do not run themselves, and it's a bad idea to get a 17 or 18-year-old young man running that machine when it's worth $500,000. But I didn't know better, and neither did he, and he let me do it, and guess what? It was an absolute gateway for me, and it was pretty fascinating, I will say this. This is a 1A1 wheel. It's a diamond wheel, and if you want to create carbides, so we made cutters. Anybody heard of an end mill before? I showed the drawing earlier. So a few people here know what end mills are. You can make an end mill with something like this. I had no sense of what this could look like until I got into this industry. And I physically didn't move anything. I did this all with robotic controls, programming, this machine, and this square wheel. You can actually stick this piece of material in there, and it starts to carve these flutes out of it. And it was really intriguing because you would make this tool like this, and it's kind of like a drill bit, except this thing could cut on the side. It doesn't just cut going down. And
I dug this video up because it was so fascinating, right? You could, on one side of the place I was working, I could make that end mill. I could walk it over to the milling machine on the other side of the shop, and you could actually start to carve out material. And it was absolutely terrifying the first time I saw this, because I had literally taken a block of carbide, a rod of carbide, and turned it into that. Guess what? CNC machines go where you tell it. That was totally by accident. That should not be done. Very, very bad idea. I'm very thankful, in fact, that that thing that held the end mill didn't hit that piece of material. Would have done some serious damage. But robotic machines are absolutely incredible when you understand what you can do with them. And this technology was absolutely a gateway to me to understand who I was as a person, but also to understand what was possible. In fact, it was pretty fascinating because that summer job, it was like a gateway for me. It was the beginning of a journey that allowed me to realize that, you know what, those textbooks that I had on the shelf when I was supposed to be learning math were actually useful for something. Because I didn't think so when I was in high school. I remember saying, boy, when am I ever going to use this? I pulled that thing off. I actually remember specifically pulling my textbook, sitting on the workbench, and I'm actually figuring trig out again. Little did I know, nor did I think I would care, and yet I really did. And it prepared me, you know, I would master one thing and I would move on to the next thing, I'd move on to the next thing, and ultimately it made me understand that manufacturing happens all around us. I mean, you saw that Mike Schultz story, and this is what I do now on a national scale, is we are helping educators connect that dot of relevancy, because learning comes alive all around you if you start to look. You go into the parking lot, there's nothing more beautiful to me than watching something like a car function, because I no longer look at things like how it's made. I look at who made it. I look at the people and go in amongst a team of manufacturing people and just marvel at the energy that can come out of that, because truly the sky is the limit. And so we built this platform with the EDU Factor to try to help teachers really get into the school and build relevancy tools. We do that in a lot of different ways. But I think for us, one of the things that we love is when somebody watches a story. You know, you see a sprocket here. We did this big story on if anybody into mountain biking here? Only a couple hands. Okay, so we did this big story with some crazy slopestyle riders out on the ocean where they had a barge out there, and you know, you see the Red Bull brand sometimes, and they were doing aerials on this thing. And we worked with the team that built these pedals called straight line components. And so many students can relate to a story like that because they have a bike. And then when you start to give them the opportunity to make stuff like this in school, where did we come up with this idea that if you want to work with your hands, it means that you're not very smart? I don't know about you guys, but it doesn't matter what it is. I learn best when I'm doing something real. And that's what we love to talk to people about. We love to get students involved with even making something like a sprocket. You know, we want them to get into the classrooms. I think an engineer that has spent time in a university that really gets this, that's significant. They design way better products. You know, and so if you're a kid here today, boy, if you got Legos, if you had the chance to work on a FIRST robotics team, if you had the opportunity to do anything with skills, man, you are going to go somewhere. There are going to be people who are going to hire you because you have got some real life experience behind you, and I applaud you. If you're a parent that is exploring how you are going to get your child into a career that makes sense for them, well, you got to look at getting them involved in real stuff. Because you know what? Way too often, mom feels or dad feels like their child is not successful unless they go get the 4-year degree. And I'm not saying that has anything to do with whether it's a 4-year degree or no degree. I'm saying that sometimes just get out and do something, that is going to be the most definitive thing. And you may find that success for you is getting a 4-year degree. And other times it's going to be no degree. Other times you're going to go start working, making something you're passionate about. And then you're going to realize that, you know what, there are courses at a place like College of the Canyons that will train you. Maybe you're an adult in the audience tonight that's saying, I hate what I do. These guys can help you really figure that out. There is so much opportunity in manufacturing. It's absolutely fascinating right now. The statistics are shocking. With that video that I opened with there, this week alone we have, I believe it's going to be close to 800 events across North America watching that. I got an email out of the blue from Boeing the other day saying, That video was the most effective way that they have used to recruit students. Boeing is shaking in their boots right now. You know why? I think the statistics on one of the plans that I heard was that in the next 5 years, up to 80% of their workforce is at retirement age potentially. Doesn't mean they're going to retire because they're not going to be able to, they'll implode. But that just means that there is such an opportunity for anybody who's willing to engage with this industry. And what perhaps used to be, a job that was dark and dirty, boy, you have not got out. You have to see this stuff. So many people come out with their degree that they studied and studied for, and then they go back and they work at Schmidt-Ronald's. I don't want to slam any names here. There's nothing wrong with working at Starbucks or McDonald's, but holy cow, you didn't have to spend $80,000 to go do that. Mm-hmm. It is amazing when you come out with a degree that you are passionate to go use. There's nothing more exciting to me than to watch somebody go in and work in the field that they've been studying towards. And so my encouragement to people is get out and do. Get involved at an early age. I started with I like building forts. Why? Because you know what? So many kids and even young adults are giving some of the best years of their lives to these devices that give them absolutely nothing back. It is sad to me. I literally today spent time in the studio. I don't know if he's actually here tonight, but it was really funny because I'm working on this feature-length documentary about music, and Neil Pearson there. I've co-written with him. Any Rush fans in the house here tonight? Yeah, a lot of hands. I mean, great band, right? So Neil and I have co-written together on this film, and we did some stuff in the studio. Today I was actually with J-Lo's percussionist, Stevie Wonder's backup singer, the drummer from Black Sabbath, who lives actually here. I don't know if you guys know that. He's home right now. He was maybe going to be here tonight. I can't see the audience. He's here, but what he told me this afternoon in the studio was just so fascinating to you, because here's this guy at the top of his game, and you heard Neil say it earlier. Just because they've hit this level of excellence does not mean that they're hungry to be the best. In fact, they don't ever feel like they've arrived. And I think that's the mark of somebody who truly gets it. They're not okay with status quo. When they're met with a problem, they're not going to stop until they find a solution. And when they find the solution, they'll figure out that that's just, we talk about this all the time, push back the edge of what's possible. Don't be okay with status quo. And so we love to weave, I think themes like this, where you've got STEM and STEAM. I want to play a little snippet from one of the factory tours that we just did with Haas. Anybody familiar with Haas here? Very influential in education. I'll tell you what, they really understand that concept that you learn best by doing. I want to play a little scene from their facility, because the truth is science, technology, engineering, art. A lot of people say, how'd you get into this? I say, you know what? I saw so much art in the manufacturing I did. When I programmed a 5-axis machine, it's like I was building sculptures every day with that machine. So these guys really get that. I want to play a little snippet from this factory tour.
This place, in many ways, is the epitome of STEM coming alive. This company has a lot of soul. People care about what they do. They're involved. They can help make decisions and make things constantly better.
In a manufacturing company, you can do sales, you can do accounting, you can do a hands-on job, you can be the company nurse. I mean, almost any job that you might get, there's probably a place for you in various manufacturing companies.
Well, look what I'm doing. A lot of the times I use math. It's a great experience of learning a lot from other people as well.
The best part of my day actually is working with my teammates. I love working with them day to day. It actually is great coming into work. I'm actually excited to be here.
I interact with a lot of the machine shop. I interact with assembly, and I interact with a lot of the engineers. I really enjoy the fact that I'm diversified in many aspects of the company.
What keeps me coming to work every day is knowing that I create something that is functional, that people are using. Everyday people are using that, which I think is beautiful.
I can make this machine, make a part exactly to the specs I want, do it over and over again very precisely, because we put the right kind of technology and engineering and math and science and computer programming skills into a machine tool that can do this thing very repeatedly, very fast, very accurately. And for us, the math is a tool to know how to use this machine with these materials and these tools to make a part that has a certain shape and size.
Every day is a challenge, and every day brings those rewards when you do it.
I never in my wildest dream would think I would end up here, but I'm here, and I'm embracing every minute of it.
I always knew that I liked working with my hands, and I also like working with my mind, which in manufacturing, that's perfect because you're constantly running around, you're doing all kinds of stuff, making all kinds of things, and I'm using math all the time. It's been a great career to get into, and since the time I started in this industry to now, I've definitely been able to enhance my skills and also make a very good living.
STEM fits into my job on a daily basis because I'm responsible for selling a product that's very technically oriented.
It's just nonstop, and that's what I like about it. It's very fast-paced and always learning something new.
Science, technology, engineering, math, those are all skills that are used here. We see them every day. We see them in our employees. We see them in our customers. Our products are core to STEM-based industries.
While to some this may seem like chaos, you know what? It's more like an orchestra. All of the different components coming together, not to an end, but to a beginning. A machine that is going to go into someone else's hands and it's going to bring dreams to life. And that, to me, is the legacy of Haas. It's unbelievable to me the amount of opportunities that I'm seeing around. You know, watching young men and women who are literally starting to change the world. I am so excited when I go to a place. There's this trade show in Chicago. I don't know if anybody was at IMTS this year, but there was 2 years ago. In the course of a few days, they 3D printed a car. This year, they 3D printed a Hummer. And they did it live on the floor, and you could literally drive it away afterwards. And you're talking about a completely revolutionized concept, because now it's going to take a totally different mind to engineer this type of vehicle. And so it's just a really exciting time. And I remember back a few months ago, looking at this, it's kind of an aluminum box, almost this cage. And they said, you know what that is? I said, I have no idea. I said, that's going up to the International Space Station. Are you kidding me? Well, it turns out NASA is turning now to the high school programs around the country as part of their Hunch program. Anybody heard of Hunch here? What a fascinating thing. They've got high school students who are going to put their name on the block as not only the ones who made this specimen box that the astronauts are going to use for their experiments, but they have to also sign that they inspected and that it's right. A lot of you can probably remember, I certainly do, I was very, very young, but the Challenger blew up, and it really made a mark on me, literally changed how they do things. Every single item that goes to space is tracked. Every person who worked on it and every person who inspected it has their name on it. And these young people in high school, when you talk about crazy high-end stuff, I mean, get out and do. Do in high school, do in middle school, get involved, because that is, I mean, don't waste your life early on. That's when you're going to start to really understand yourself, and you're going to be able to propel to new heights. I want to play a little piece of this teaser here. The voice that you were going to hear in here is actually from the commander of the space shuttle. He landed at the space station 3 times.
It is a dream that unites humanity. A longing to reach outside this place called Earth and explore what lies beyond this planet. You are here today because you chose to believe you could make something that would reach beyond the clutches of gravity. I congratulate you on a job well done.
Tomorrow morning, I'm going to have the
opportunity to spend some time with students here. And I remember last year, it was really exciting. I had some students come to me afterwards, and I think they were just awakened to this hunger to do more than maybe they had ever done in their lives before. And really, I mean, you look at something like that, the sky is the limit, really, with what can be done. But I think you have to fundamentally choose this. And I'm going to talk to them a little bit about, I'm a big snowboarding fan. When I was very, very young, it was an emerging sport. But I wanted to snowboard so bad. And this is one of those sweet moments in life. I had to save up for a lot of years. My family was not well off to eventually buy that snowboard. We're going to talk about the idea of riding goofy. Because I didn't know at the time that was the term for it. But I've had to learn. I have to surround myself with people who want to ride goofy, people who are willing to take risks and go out and live life to the fullest, but work extremely hard, get up early, work late, take care of their family, love the people they're with, enjoy the journey. Riding goofy is an awesome way to live, but I'll tell you what, you have to choose to do that because it's really easy when something is facing you to say it's someone else's fault. It's really, really easy when something is facing you to pass the buck, but really you are the one that has to choose to get out and do something. Choose to ride goofy, to live your life in a way that is going to be open to new ideas, process information, and actually take steps towards change. And put down that controller maybe, put down the remote, pick up an instrument, small steps, but do something. Have to make this disclaimer. I use this all the time. Guess what? It's not going to be handed to you. And you know, some people do get it handed to them. But you know what they get handed to them? Is actually a handicap. Because if what you are looking for is a handout, that is the worst thing that could ever happen to you, is when you are hungry for something and you work really hard for it, that is when it's a sweet thing. If you're looking for the handout, you want to win the lotto, boy, you're looking for the wrong thing. It's actually going to hurt you. It's going to cripple you. If you're a second generation or even more challenging, a third generation person in a company, watch out. You are going to be bit by the bug of what's in it for me. It's going to be handed to you, and it's going to be hard to break that. You've got to work hard to ride goofy, I'll tell you that right now. There'll be failure. Failure sucks, got to tell you. But it's what you do with failure that is going to define what the future looks like for you. You know, you'll be pushed out of your comfort zone. Boy, when you're pushed out of your comfort zone, I have witnessed it over and over and over. That is where the magic happens. When you find yourself in a place that you've never been there before, that's when you start to discover really exciting things. It's not going to be easy, there'll be challenges, but you know what? There will be reward. There will be reward. I have seen it over and over, but if you do not get out of your comfort zone, it's not going to happen. So maybe you've been in the same job for a long time. Maybe just in small ways, you just got to seek to be the ultimate and the best where you are, because it will be noticed, because a lot of people do not do that. Be faithful there will be a reward. Well, we have, for those in the audience, if you're on the younger side and if you are like me, you are on the older side, but you like to act young, we have a good announcement coming up. Edge Factor Show, of course, has been on the air in various places. Our major focus is distribution through our education channel with schools around North America using what we do. But we are developing something that everybody can access, and maybe some of you will choose to participate. This is going to be a design competition. And it's called Reality Redesigned. We're talking to some great broadcast partners about this. And the idea is going to be that anybody can take a challenge. They can do it at home. They can take an idea from their head. They can connect it with their hands. They can start to come up with some creative stuff. And they're going to be able to participate in this. And so if you have any idea of being an inventor or anything, this may be a crazy project for you to be involved with. So I wanted to, before we get into our panel, I want to close. I hope you'll indulge me. I have wanted to make this film for so long. I have wanted to make this film for so long because sometimes it's really helpful to look back into history to really understand what your future could look like. The echoes of the spirit of innovation ring all around us. I can still hear the whispers of the men and women who once walked, who worked, and dreamed within these walls. Their principles drove them to innovate and invent, and these ideals are still as true today as they were throughout history. Since the dawn of time, man was set apart from all other creatures by his ability to create, to form, to manipulate the natural resources around him in the quest to survive, to become faster and stronger. We can look back and reflect on what has always been true. The farmers who learned to grow food did not starve. The men and women who led medical innovation helped their families live longer. When freedom was attacked, those who led in defense technology were able to protect their people. The most powerful country is the one that understands that they must help to spark innovation, as well as create the infrastructure to mass produce the inventions. As we look back, we see man and machine in an intricate dance, a relationship between the creator and the creation that began to accelerate the pace of progress. Layers of creativity built upon each other, with each new chapter made possible by the success found on the previous pages of history. In 1818, Thomas Blanchard built an invention that transferred a shape from one object to a new piece of raw material. This copy-laid, duplicated complex wood shapes from gun stocks, axe handles, wheel spokes, and more. This invention ushered in a critical understanding. Duplication was essential for mass manufacturing. By 1846, the U.S. Army asked Henry Stone, Richard Lawrence, and Frederick Howe to fulfill a contract to make 10,000 rifles with interchangeable parts. Starting with nothing more than their ingenuity and their past experience from people like Blanchard, these mechanics took an approach that set them apart. They not only innovated mechanics, but also systems and processes, with workers and machines specializing in specific tasks and operations. They proceeded in 1851 to exhibit their rifles at the Crystal Palace exhibition in London, leaving the British speechless as they disassembled several guns and then reassembled them while interchanging parts. This revolutionary new method ultimately became known as the American system of manufacturing and became the basis for all new types of manufacturing. By the time the world goes to war, there are exponential leaps in innovation. The skills and experience of the innovators are transferred from mentor to new inventor. We see tanks, bombs, and planes develop from the understanding that the leader in technology will ultimately win the war. When the guns were finally put down and the conflicts were settled, a new cycle began as the wartime machines became typewriters and radios, bicycles, and cars. Factories retooled to meet the vast and growing hunger for consumer products. Technology and science were embraced by the masses, and new inventions bred new inventors. New machines called computers were put to work, ushering in a new age, the dawn of the digital era. The human mind and the power of the processor were now building what once seemed impossible. The rise of the CNC controls, robotics, and the ever-growing capabilities in machine tools opens a new chapter for innovation. American ingenuity gave the general public the power to take an idea from their head and mass produce the product, empowering inventors and creators to take their idea and touch the lives of other people. The painstaking work of the luthier is replicated over and over with the assistance of humans and robotics, allowing thousands to enjoy the instrument the artist creates. The young man that seeks to find himself can in high school build a car that will race across the country, sparking in him a dream to one day own his own shop. The girl who always loved to stare at the stars, dreaming of touching the far reaches of space, is able to engage with NASA and their Hunch program, building flight hardware that will go to the International Space Station. The team of high school students who learned about the devastating effects of a stroke use the combined power of 3D modeling and additive manufacturing and go on to design and build a device that will aid in the trauma victim's recovery. It's the rise of the machine controlled by the humans. Unthinkable forces are now under the control of a single button, allowing any human to achieve things that were unthinkable only a few decades ago. The principles of hard work and integrity, honesty and dedication will always be at the heart of American ingenuity. Just to quickly give the Panaher an idea of who's in the audience. So if you are a parent that is interested in helping somebody in your family find a career path, would you put your hand up, please? That is awesome. You are really, really smart to be here to have to say that. If you're a young person that does not know what you want to do, but this is interesting to you, put your hand up, please. Take note of who's here. You talk to them afterwards. I almost guarantee there's a job at one of these companies. So, or if you're in the education system and you are interested in manufacturing and you teach or are interested in teaching technology at your school, please put your hand up. Okay, so we have a handful of those. That's interesting. And we have a few more here, of course. All right, so we're going to jump in here. We're going to ask a question here. We've received a lot of feedback from industry partners about the importance of soft skills and a positive work ethic. Any comments regarding work ethic? And I'm closest to you, Shannon, so I'm going to let you jump in on that.
Well, to me, work ethic is not something you can teach somebody. You have to bring that with you to the job.
Raise your voice.
So the difference between someone with work ethic and someone without is the person with a great work ethic is always asking me what more can they do, or coming to me with great ideas, or finishing something and say, what next? And the person with a less than stellar work ethic, I feel like I have to put my foot in their back and push them forward.
We can run down the line here. I don't know if we'll have time for everybody to answer every question, but this is one, if I had to guess, that everybody here has an opinion on, because this is something that comes up all the time.
Sure, I'll say that when I'm looking to promote somebody within my department, I'm looking for competent people, of course, but I'm also looking for the person with the soft skills as well, because these are the people that we want in leadership roles, people that are able to communicate with their subordinates and be able to motivate them and encourage them. So I'm just not looking for competence, I'm also looking for the soft skills.
Yes, I think I agree. Wholeheartedly. Right now, we probably teach more soft skills than we actually teach technical today. Because we're realizing that the teaming is so important that without the soft skills, it just doesn't take place. In fact, we recently had a training session here with 40 people in it just last week, teaching soft skills by themselves. It seems like if you've got those, the other comes easy.
Yeah, we have I think most of the people in our company grew up from entry-level kind of positions in the company. And so when I think of a soft skill, one that, especially for young folks, it's those skills that you learn from your parents, right? Getting up to get to school on time. In manufacturing, just in time is a very important concept, that whatever it is you're making needs to arrive where it's needed, when it's needed. And so just a soft skill like being able to get to work on time and then be ready to work that's real important. And those are the things that you're learning as you grow up and as you go to school and as you do the work that you do every day. So that's real important.
Well, I agree with everything everyone said here, but I want to put my answer in context. We're a fairly small company. We have a team of anywhere from 35 to 55 people working for us. And as you can see from the video, we do many different things: fire effects, water systems, big mechanical features, all of which are typically for theme parks and casinos, so they have to operate day in and day out, 365 days a year. So with this small team of people, of engineers, manufacturers, and designers, it's critical that everybody can trust each other, and communication is vital to making all the systems that we manufacture function the way they're supposed to. So for us, you have to show up on time, obviously, but being able to communicate with your peers and people that work in different departments and appreciate what the engineers are doing or what the manufacturers are doing is vital to us forming that team that is successful. So it's a lot about being a good team player.
I think it's interesting, with the word soft skills, I don't know how our panel feels about it, but of course soft skills to me is kind of a crazy term, because really if you're looking at a job, this is not soft at all. This is essential. In fact, if you really want to work for a good company, these are mandatory skills, because you aren't going to succeed unless you have them. So I think that's really, really important. This is non-negotiable, guys. Second question here. The media has been abuzz on focus on preparing the future workforce in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, also known as STEM. How important is proficiency in STEM-related disciplines to the long-term success of a manufacturing employee? I'm going to leave this open for whoever wants to jump in on that.
You know, I'd have to say, if you've got the soft skills and you've got that, I think you're a rock star for manufacturing. You've got everything that you need to really make it happen. So, yeah, absolutely. We're trying to encourage more people to enter into manufacturing with an education. Manufacturing traditionally provides what we call application knowledge, but they come in with very little theory. In school, in college, in education, you get a lot of the theory knowledge, and then you apply the application on the job. So, yeah, STEM, powerful.
Any other additions?
Jeremy, I wanted to pipe in on this one because I have much the same experience that you had when your awakening to manufacturing is very similar to mine, in that due to my dad's illness, I inherited his company for a period of time, and I remember sitting in front of a CNC machine and going, how am I going to run this thing, you know? But obviously there wasn't backing out, so I had to do this and had to learn, you know, how to run the machine, but also the STEM stuff, you know, the skills and knowledge come into play. And I remember thinking at that time, and I was in my early 20s, right out of college, thinking, I'm going to tell my kids someday that school is important, because I am using this stuff as I'm sitting here trying to figure out the geometries of all these parts, and ironically, some of them were sprockets that you showed up there. But it is important. It's very important. And in practice, in just about any manufacturing, it will help your development and your understanding, and you'll hit the ground running. If you understand, the more you understand STEM, you'll hit the ground running. So it's very critical.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think, you know, one of the things that we always try to overcome in manufacturing is, you know, that a lot of people's views of manufacturing is maybe old school. So you may think of manufacturing as you go in and you work on an assembly line, and day after day you're installing that same part on a vehicle or screwing that same screw into something and things like that. First of all, those kind of jobs, those kind of factory environments are disappearing, and that's part of what went on, you know, here in America with jobs going overseas and things like that, that jobs like that in manufacturing that were dependent on that kind of, depending on a person being a cog and a bigger machine to produce something is kind of disappearing. And really, these skills, these STEM skills that you have, is what's going to make the difference in growing manufacturing to what it's going to be in the future. And so without those skills, there won't be manufacturing jobs for you.
And I think, you know, as we move on to this next question, there may be, if you're sitting there going, well, how do I get those things? Again, do. Because STEM isn't this weird nebulous cloud that's floating out there. It actually, STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math, or if you throw the art word in there. And so if you can get into VEX robotics or FIRST robotics or any of these things in high schools, I mean, this often is just a wonderful way to make STEM come alive for you without it being work. In fact, it just becomes this thing that you just fall in love with, and then you're set up ultimately for a job.
If I could just add to that, in our company, we basically never build the same thing twice. We're problem solvers. We work for architects, designers, storytellers, and we make their visions real. And so our manufacturing team is a part of the group that envisions the solutions. They work directly with our engineers. So that's where STEM comes into play. They need to understand what the engineers are doing. They need to be able to read the drawings, but they need to also be able to visualize how these systems are going to work. So within our company, again, it's very team-oriented, and everybody is a part of coming up with the solutions.
So let's get into the meat maybe, because I think, you know, if you're here thinking about what does a career look like, third question here, does your industry embrace on-the-job learning opportunities such as internships and apprenticeships and programs that students may pursue? So I don't know who wants to jump in. Shannon, is that something that you can talk to?
Well, ADI does have apprenticeship programs. We partnership with the College of the Canyons. Their CNC training program is actually done on our facility. We take groups of those employees, and at the height of our hiring, we offered every employee who passed that course a job. And we're not hiring quite at that rate anymore, but those classes still take place, and it's a great way to get into there. We also hire interns, particularly into engineering, manufacturing engineering.
Again, I'm 2 months new to AB, so forgive me for my lack of knowledge on that. But I do know that, because I've met some of them, we seem to hire quite a bit of interns in the engineering department, R&D. And it was the same with my last company, which was also a med device company as well. So I do know that R&D definitely brings in a lot of interns.
So when we send our employees down to ADI, you offer them jobs. We compete actually, and we're a supplier to ADI. Yes, we offer internships also, and it's a very rewarding process. So a lot of kids that are actually going to school and in high school, they work in the summer, and in addition to that, we have college interns also.
So, if you are interested, I mean, I don't know, question, I don't want to put anybody in the spot here, but is there anything, any incentives, any tuition reduction, anything that your companies do for employees that maybe want to get into the industry but don't know how to either pay for it, or maybe there's able to be reimbursements here?
Yeah, our company has reimbursements for education that applies to your job. So some of that may be, college education, 4 degrees, that may not seem to be manufacturing related. So for instance, our company is growing. We're making a transition from a small company to a medium-sized company. We need more expertise in things that you wouldn't necessarily think about as manufacturing. So things like business administration and financial analysis and market analysis and those kind of things, because our industry is changing very quickly now. And so trying to look as far ahead as we can and understand where things are going to be in the next year, 3 years, 5 years is very important. And so we're looking for those kind of skills in addition to the skills for actually making things. And we do offer tuition reimbursement and other incentives.
If you think about this, parents, or for a young person, What an extraordinary thing that a company will help pay for your education. All you have to do is work for them and be paid to work. That is a remarkable thing. It does not mean that it's going to be a free ride, but I have met so many people who are freaked out by the idea that they are going to spend $50,000, $60,000 on an education. They don't even know if that's the right one for them. You can get into some of these situations where companies will help you pay for your education while helping you figure out if that's the right place for you. So truly it's an exciting time for a young person in the manufacturing industry today. Moving on, question number 4 here. Regardless of the position is at an entry level or is in supervision or management, what are the key attributes? The key attributes you look for in an individual when considering them for a position at your company.
Well, I look for people who are passionate, who care about what they do, who are self-motivated, who want to do things better, who want to do their job better. People who can communicate, but also who have a realistic view of where they are in their career and they want to grow. And those are the kind of people that I look to hire.
The most important quality for me is dedication. You can be a superstar, as far as the competency goes, but if you're not there, you're no use to me. So I always look for the dedication and the attitude. If you've got dedication and attitude, I feel I can teach just about anybody, most things. So that's what I always look for.
Along those same lines, coachability. What we found is the top item on our list is coachability, one's ability to receive feedback. It's hard to grow a person in a work environment if you can't communicate with them, if you can't share with them that, we want to do it a little different or we want to improve something. So coachability is number 1. The second one is teamwork. It's a very big piece of it. If you got the right teamwork, it comes together nicely. And the third one is desire to learn. If somebody's got the desire to learn, gosh, they're unstoppable. Yeah.
I think this was alluded to in the presentations that you did, but there's a self-awareness that I look for when I'm talking to candidates and people who may come work for the company. And so it kind of boils down to in a lot of interviews, you'll get questions about strengths and weaknesses. And what those questions are about is how well do you know yourself? How well do you know what you're good at? What motivates you? For instance, as a kid, I like to solve puzzles, right? And so that's what I like to do, is I like to solve problems. So you give me a problem, I like to come up with a solution, move on to the next one, right? So for a person like me, it's not good to put me in something that, for instance, when I was a P&L manager and running the operation for additive manufacturing, that all had to do with how do you make things faster, better, and cheaper. So it's actually, for me, as a problem solver, a soul-killing kind of job, right? But that's what I want to understand about candidates is what is it that really makes you tick, and what are you good at, and do you know that about yourself?
And I'm going to drop another question on you at the end here, because I want to ask one more question here. So I'm going to assign this one to you, because we want to get to you guys really quickly here. But can you give the audience maybe an idea of some of the positions available inside of your company? Maybe they're not there today, maybe they are there today, but what are some of the careers that are alive in your company? Because again, we wanted to give you guys a glimpse into this. People have this perception, manufacturing is one thing, there are so many things available. I mean, what's alive in your company today?
Well, we're growing our engineering department. We need more mechanical engineers in particular. Electrical would be nice, but mechanical is really what we're focused on. The shop is expanding. I mean, we don't use in-house a lot of sophisticated machinery. We have a water jet cutter, but everything else is pretty basic. We farm out most of the CNC work and all that, but a machinist, if you have those abilities, that's almost a lost art, and we look for those, and we have a hard time finding those kinds of people. So machinists, welders, certified welders, anybody of that skill set is very valuable to us.
And then Chuck, you mentioned you guys are expanding significantly. What about you guys?
There are a lot of things. Again, that skill set, it's kind of boiling it down to it's not necessarily about things that you've done in the past, but what are those essential skills? So, for instance, we have the customer service aspect, because we're a manufacturing services company. We don't have products of our own. We manufacture other people's products and designs. And so communication skills, so an in-depth knowledge of manufacturing, the different manufacturing technologies we have, the different manufacturing capability, understanding what that can deliver, and then talking to a customer and finding out what their requirements are. What do they need? And then how do we match that up with what we do?
So you're saying you got customer service going on, you've got
customer
sales
service
positions going on.
Right, there's programming jobs for telling the equipment how to build something. There's finishing, so it gets down to tradesman kind of skills on painting and smoothing and mold making, and there's all kinds of different aspects of that.
But to be clear, your company actually makes the machine. Stratasys, correct?
Stratasys does, but we're the manufacturing services division in Stratasys, so we use Stratasys equipment and other 3D printing manufacturers' equipment.
So people can send you their ideas
to make people's products. So we use the equipment.
Got it. Okay, so look, I've got more questions here, but I don't want to keep everybody here a long time, and we wanted to make sure we get some of your questions. Does anybody in the audience have a question for the panel tonight? We're going to need somebody to break the ice here, because I know that there are questions here. Certainly I have a few myself. Hands up, anybody here? There we go.
So what do you do to find these candidates? Do you go out to job fairs? Do you go out to the schools? How do they find you or you find them?
Well, we do all of those things. We go to job fairs, we go to places like this. We have an employee reward program for employees who refer someone for positions that are open. We're currently looking for continuous improvement engineers, people who can come in and do analysis and help us do things better. Always looking for machinists, so internal rewards and referrals. We use recruiting services, people who are out looking for those and have a lot better skills than we do at putting together campaigns and searching the web and finding candidates for us.
Anybody else?
I think mine pretty much mirrors what you guys do. To give you an idea, our manufacturing department, I think we just filled 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 positions in manufacturing over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So, we've been looking, and our company is also looking for planning, engineering, it's QA, that sort of those capacities. So there's a list on our website. So, I would encourage and ask you guys to look on the website, and it'll give you a full list of what we have to offer, as well as our parent corporations.
And the interesting thing about this is that we have like a big skill gap in our industry right now. We were able to fill the lower positions and very much the upper ones, but there's all these ones in the middle: manufacturing engineers, mechanical engineers, programmers for either CNC machines or DCC machines. So we're advertising with 4 different recruiting agencies. We have our website, and I have to tell you, we're having very limited success. There's a real shortage out there. So you guys are getting into a great profession if you choose this one, because there's a lot of demand.
Can I ask you guys a question then? I don't know if you'd agree with this statement. This is an observation that I've made, and I don't have any scientific proof to back this up, but it seems to me that if there is a young person who has been kicked in the butt by their parents at home, they've been given good tools, they understand getting up early is non-negotiable, they understand that you didn't show up on time, what's wrong with you, and there's ramifications for those things at home. When you have been given those skill sets early on and you get into the job and then you work really hard and you work faithful, that you are going to leapfrog
because you have the maturity to understand that those things were all non-negotiable. You leapfrog into positions that, quite honestly, in generations past, that was never possible. You would have had to have worked for years and years and years to get into the positions that I'm seeing some young people who are really smart, but they don't take it for granted. They're not wanting the handout. They prove themselves faithful, and they are now being put into positions that, quite honestly, are dream jobs. But it's happening all over the place. But it's always that person that you see. They're the bright one. They understood. They had to work really hard, and they were the one that ultimately gets leapfrogged. There are positions like this happening all over the place. Am I right?
I have a person that works for me who started with us when he was 18, literally sweeping the floors and just very interested in what was going on around in the company. And over time, worked his way up. 30 years later, he's now our senior vice president. And a lot of it started with him just showing up, being interested, caring about what he was doing, and caring about what others were doing. And that's awesome. That's what did it for him.
Do we have any other questions here? Yes?
Yeah, I'm curious. I kind of came into my job sideways and kind of learned most of the skills on my own rather than doing what I studied in college. And I'm kind of curious how many of your, obviously you have a lot of very technical manufacturing jobs and everything that you do. How many of those people are people who were accredited or, got the job with a degree and education that they brought to the table? And how many of them are people that just were really interested in this, they learned it on another job, or they just came into it sideways?
Fred?
Generally, most of the people in the industry have a high school education. In the engineering departments, you're going to find that, quite often they will have engineering degrees. But overall, this industry has pretty much been a self-taught industry, and I think that's one of the reasons it's lagging. I think if we can encourage the kids to get education, go down the STEM path, I really think they can move it forward. I really think it's the old people. I'm old, okay? But I think it's the old people that are holding this industry back. We need creativity. We need to introduce change. We need change quickly if we're going to be competitive as a country.
So what I found is that most of the people that do not have college degrees, they've worked really hard, but they want to prove themselves and show they have credentials in a particular part of an industry. So we work in supply chain, production planning, logistics, all of those fields have industry recognized certifications, and I'm very, very passionate about helping people get certified and building on those skills. Once you find something that you enjoy, you come into purchasing. A lot of people end up in purchasing because they were the person who could type. And then they find they love that profession and they want to build their skills, they want to prove that they really know their stuff, and that's where they head.
In our shop, we have leads who run projects, and I would say the majority of them do not have degrees, college degrees, but they're what we call a jack of all trades, master of none. They know a lot about a lot of things, a little bit about a lot of things, and so they're very versatile. They're generalists, but they understand various technologies and how things go together, how things work.
I would add to this too that one of the challenges that, interestingly, I went into running this 5-axis machine that just came over from Germany, and there was absolutely no possibility for a degree. The technology was emerging, and there are so many areas in manufacturing right now that the careers that some of these young ones here are going to go into in the not very far off future, those careers don't exist today because technology is moving so quickly. Literally, robotics are changing the world in how we work, and things that used to be dark, dirty, repetitive, ugly, they're being done by robots. It doesn't mean that people aren't working. It just means that they're working totally differently. They're programming robots. So careers sometimes, that's why it's so exciting to be coming to some of the colleges right now, because they've awakened to this. They've realized that degrees need to look totally different. They realize that doing projects and hands-on things, so I think I've watched young people who didn't know what they wanted to do, came out of high school, started working even in a summer job. That's why I always say, go do something. Because when you're there, maybe you're going to go to a college, you're going to do 2 years, and then you realize, you know what, I need to go back to university and get 2 more. You'll do 2 + 2, but at least you're doing it in the area that you're passionate about. So the message, hopefully, from here is not the takeaway that education isn't important, but be educated in an area that you're passionate about. And then, truly, the sky's the limit. Any more questions here?
Yes?
What is your position on with respect to innovation?
What is your procedure in respect to...
Position, point of view.
Oh, your position on innovation.
So I'll jump into that one because,
Absolutely.
I've been in this additive manufacturing industry for 27 years. The industry really didn't innovate much in that 27 years, mainly due to patent issues, intellectual property, thing like that. So all of those basic patents have run out, and so there are a lot of people jumping into the game now. That a lot of new ideas coming out, combining additive and subtractive technologies together, designing complete systems that do full automation through the manufacturing process all the way through inspection and things like that. The systems are getting more complex, right? There's I'm thinking about the people that we need in order to fill the gaps. We've got more gaps than anything right now, and that's kind of an attitude thing. I mean, with my career, I don't have a college degree. I probably have 6 or 7 years of college credit, though. Because when I saw a gap, and it was that thing that needed to be filled in order to make something move forward, which is what innovation is about, right? It's about forward progress or progress in that direction. That's where I always look for those opportunities. Where's the gap? Okay, I can do anything. That's my attitude. Educator, and you look at YouTube videos and Wikipedia and all these things that you can learn from, in addition to specialized education and things like that. So the innovation really comes from the people that we bring in and that are driving that. That's where it comes from, right? It doesn't come from a system. It doesn't come from a specific technology or anything like that. It comes from people with ideas on where this needs to go next. So are you that person?
We just installed our first robot here 2 months ago. And I walked over to it today, and as it was loading and unloading parts, the employee that used to do the job is just standing there. And he's a little puzzled. He doesn't know how to take it. And he's looking at me like, where are we going? I said, it's time for you to move up. In other words, the repetitive work that Jeremy was referring to is coming to an end. We're going to find a way around that and really make the jobs more technical. So we're going down that path.
So for PCC, the largest investment in employees is people who have continuous improvement skills, who know how to do things better, who can come in and analyze stuff, look at ways to improve the processes. So those are the positions that are open, and we're having a lot of difficulty filling them.
So, if I may just tell a quick story here, you guys probably have heard of ABB, the company. Very, very large company. They all, amongst one of the many things they do is a robotic company. You ever heard of Baldor Motors? So two very, very, very influential brands. So yesterday, a whole team of their executives flew in on their private jet to spend some time with me yesterday. They came to hear me speak at Ventura last night. And why would they take the time to come down and explore a conversation similar to what we're having here? Because the last question on here was the baby boom generation is dominating the manufacturing workforce, and that is a group of employees that will retire. And what impact will this be on the industry? Guess what, guys? Boeing stops making jets, and Baldor stops making motors, and ABB stops making robots. Your world is going to be significantly affected because you're not going to have your potholes filled on the highway, the taxes that go into paying for all the retirement, all of these things. I mean, they are all shaking in their boots right now because they need people. They flew in on their private jet to talk with me about some of the challenges they are facing in the communities all around their plants because they're seeing that they do not have people and certainly don't have the right people coming through the doors right now. This is an absolute crisis that is facing North America. Any country that is defined by manufacturing is the backbone, and a lot of people have this thought that manufacturing left. Yeah, but you know what? A lot of it did leave, but there is so much going on and so much that needs to come back, and we need people for that to happen if we want our economic infrastructure to work. So I want to close with that thought because if you are at all looking for where to go, I would highly encourage you to look into this. It's truly exciting. finance, HR, sales, machining, all of these careers come alive inside the company sitting at the table right here. So thank you so much for listening. I am going to turn this back over to our host here. And
Hey, thank you, Jeremy. Let's give a round of applause for everybody here. The industry leaders, Jeremy Bout. Please stay for 3 more minutes. I've got some important announcements, and then we'll put a bow on this, and we'll just talk about for the rest of the evening. One thing I want to mention is on the placards outside, did you notice in the lobby all the industries that go into making an Airbus or a military aircraft? You know what? They're all in our backyard. There's dozens and dozens of industries like this in our backyard for opportunities and careers. They're not overseas. And that's kind of the theme through all of this. And I made another note. Oh, we talked about NASA. We had a group of students here at the college who built a payload for space and had it launched just several months ago. And they manufactured it here at the college on COC resources and physically at ADI. And the payload was built, set up in space, collected cosmic dust, and then right now it's being analyzed. So things like that are happening. The theme here was you can call us, explore us, and then do something with us here at the college so you can go down one of these industry paths. One other thing I'd like to do, well, 2 other things. One is to acknowledge our panel members with small gifts of token, our appreciation for their participation. Thank you so much for your time. These industries are also going to be represented tomorrow when they open their doors for our junior high and high school students to go visit and see firsthand what's done, again, in our backyard. And the last thing, and probably the most important thing for some folks, would be to celebrate one's birthday at 40 years of age. And we got just a small token of helping us celebrate that. And if you would you please wish Jeremy a happy birthday by let's sing happy birthday to him. This probably never happened before in his career. So Jeremy, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jeremy. Happy birthday to you. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Mr. Leader. Thank you for coming tonight. Call us. We'll answer your questions.